nauseated by the knowledge that the events that I was reading had happened, and how little it took to destroy so much, how fragile we are as a species, and how fragile are all our. I mean, maybe that is not the thing that nauseated me. The thing that nauseated me was very much the very specific um, um, narration of 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 the consequences of people's decisions, of the consequences of those events. The grander implications, if anything, are a relief to me. I actually find it relieving um, that we are so fragile, that it's so easy to wipe us out, and it would take only like two nations to have a nuclear war for all of us to cease to exist. Some way, I don't know why most people finds a very deep existential vertigo in the thought of that. I find it very comforting. Perhaps it's because I have long ago chosen to situate myself on the side of other species rather than my own when it comes to what I think the world should look like. But yeah, let's leave Hiroshima. As I said, an amazing recommend. Definitely, you need to have a stomach for reading it. But I also think that regardless of, I don't believe in trigger warnings. I think everyone, especially everyone from like Western nations that have a relative military engagement, and especially those that are holders of nuclear power or aim to be, should read this book, because they should understand the consequences of the power that they try to acquire that they already have. And as far as they belong to that nation, they should definitely play a role in neutralizing it. I guess I'm very Kantian in my morality when it comes to these things, but war is the worst thing that ever happened, and it really runs through the veins of our civilization. Often in the form of massacre, especially since the latest developments in technological investigation of that. Yeah, whatever. Next book. The other book that this one I did read, and not only did I read it, this has become one of my favorite books of all time, and I was embarrassed not to have even heard of it when Steve talked about it, because I have read Epicurus. I often claim, or I often brag about having read all the important philosophers, which is about 50, 55, something like that, in terms of like the general history of Western philosophy. Like I've gone through all of them, and then having like a good idea of their points of view and everything. And I also often brag about having read a lot of poetry. You know, these are the only two fields in which in which I don't consider myself an ignorant. I have read a lot of poetry, and I have read a lot of philosophy. I haven't read a lot of novels. I haven't read a lot of journalism. I haven't read a lot of more wide umbrella of nonfiction, etc., etc., etc. I don't know a lot about history. These are things that I'm trying to compensate these days. But having a work that not only is it a massive classic, but that as I was reading it, I could see its influence in so many other works that I value so much. I could even I don't know, one of my favorite poems, that used to be one of my favorite poems, Prometheus Unbound by Shelley. Like, there are verses directly taken from Lucretius, and I don't know if anybody have noticed. I don't know how far the inspiration or plagiarism goes, but I mean, I see it so often that I no longer think much of it when I find it. But this is one of the best books I've ever read. This is an amazing book. It's Lucretius, The Nature of Things. He makes a number of claims. He's defending Epicureanism, but he's also defending atomism, the belief that the world is made of particles, of atoms, in the more technical sense, which is the one that is used in translation. I don't know if this is the one that was used in reality, which is a thesis made by Democritus long before. but that he takes to the craziest extents. It's crazy how much he manages to deduce through the simple claim that everything is made of particles, that everything is made of atoms. And he goes far beyond. I feel like his reasoning is far more plausible and goes far beyond other sort of like but like other like scientific philosopher writers that came way after. I'm thinking of even Descartes, like when he talks about the connection mind or spirit and body, and his famous or infamous more like pineal gland, right, where he tries to explain how the